everyone, it's Sharana from Para Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing Killing Eve Season 3, Episode 7, Beautiful Monster. And so talking about beautiful monsters, let's go ahead and get started with Villanelle. We see that the episode opens up and she's meeting with Lynn. Lynn introduces her to another woman that is in the room. We're assuming that this is kind of like Villanelle's competition, because Lynn kind of alluded that she feels as though that she's number one and Villanelle is like number two. And I keep referring to her as she because I could not understand what the heck they were saying that her name was. So if you guys know in the comment section below, let me know what this girl's name is, because I already don't like her because of what she did to Mo. But we will get to that later in the episode. And so Villanelle, she's kind of looking around in this like grand meeting room as we see all of the armor and the swords and the weapons on the wall. And so Lynn asks her, like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm thinking of all the ways that I could kill you. And so Lynn asks her about her injuries that she sustained in the last week's episode when she was trying to kill the guy who's about to go on TV. He stabs her in the arm with the scissors. And so essentially she tells her like, hey, like the reason that I like you, she kind of like caresses her. It's like, you know, just all up on her and telling her like, I love the nature of your kills. And so she asks her like, is there anything that you need to get off your chest? Is there anything that you need to tell me? And so this leads me to believe that maybe possibly Dasha could have told her, hey, you know, she was talking about leaving. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want this girl to mess up my chances to take my little raggedy behind back to Russia. So let me tell you what she was talking about, okay? And sorry if I sniffle or cough. My god baby got me sick, so I got a cold now. Who thought during this whole pandemic you actually get common cold still? So we see that she tells her like, hey, can I please have another job? And she was like, what? I thought you didn't want another job. You were saying that this was too much for you. Like, you're retired doing the same thing day in and day out. And then she's like, well, maybe I can take out Dasha. And I was like, girl, you trying to kill Dasha? Like, that's what we own now? And so essentially she tells her like, hey, she was like, you wouldn't be able to kill me before I kill you. And then you're a child. You have no idea what you're dealing with. And I said, Lynn, you better tell her to put some respect on your name. I'm not one of these other little handlers or keepers that you didn't kill before, honey. There's a reason that I'm at where I'm at and I was able to give you a promotion. So like, boo-boo, honey. It wasn't going to happen for you, okay? You feeling yourself just a little bit too much for Linnell, it wasn't going to happen. But we see that she ends up going to Aberdeen, Scotland with Dasha. And essentially, they kind of have like this back and forth in the elevator. They're a typical back and forther, you know, they throwing shade towards one another because I feel like they don't like each other. Like it's a love-hate relationship. Like they hate each other, but they respect each other at the same time. But I was totally here for this entire thing, especially when she was like, oh, do you know that you have halitosis? Does your son know that? And I was like, Eve, it's Eve. I was like, Villanelle, why are we being that disrespectful to Dasha? Okay, now like don't respect your elders, okay? Because she taught you everything that you know. But I did get a chuckle out when she said, does your son know that you have halitosis? And so, finishing out Villanelle, I need the green outfit that she had on when they went to golf. They were looking at this guy. He's an American. He obviously has money. And essentially, Villanelle was like, hey, you know what? I'll let you go ahead and kill this person. But after they go back and forth, she decides that she wants to be the one to kill him. But can I just say how beautiful she looked? Like, seriously, the costume design specifically for Villanelle's character is just top notch. Just every outfit, I want it. I want to wear it. She's just a breath of fresh air, just a vision to watch on screen in the outfits that she has. But we see that she has this conversation with a guy. She's like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Like, I lost my ball. I really hope that you can find it for me. And then he was like, your lack of know-how gives me the excuse to be heroic. And I was like, sorry, really? Like, that's what you thought you should say? I was like, Villanelle, go ahead and kill him. Because I was just like, the fact that you thought it was okay to say that nonsense in the first place, I was like, sir, how dare you? And so as he's trying to find this ball, she ends up actually taking the golf club and kills Dasha, or we think that she kills Dasha, hits Dasha over the head. This man going all crazy and he runs away. And I was like, why did you just let him go? But I guess she was just like, I don't care. I was trying to kill Dasha the entire time. But we see that as Eve is almost getting close to finding Villanelle, that Constantine is the one who actually picks her up. And so we really don't see Villanelle for the rest of the episode until kind of like the last 5 minutes of the episode. So in the meantime, I'm going to talk about Carolyn, who in the beginning of the episode, she's having this meeting with Mo. She's put Mo on Paul's tail essentially to figure out whether or not he's working for the 12 because she suspects that he is. But when Mo basically said like, hey, he's basically doing standard white person stuff, I said, Mo, I I did cackle for a minute. I was like, sir, what is standard white person stuff? But then she was just like, maybe he's doing white standard personal stuff, white personal or standard white person stuff because he's trying to throw you off his tail because he knows that you're following him, which we know that to be true because we do know from the conversations that Paul has had with Constantine that he is working for the 12. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but I was just like, Mo, not white person stuff. I still died from that. But we see as soon as Mo leaves, as he forfeits his omelet because he didn't have any tea to give to Carolyn, we see that Eve meets with her. She tells her findings from actually going to Barcelona to talk to Dasha, that Eve or Villanelle has been promoted and that Dasha basically told her that. But she says they have this conversation back and forth. And I love that Carolyn tells her, like, hey, like, you know, it's only in Hollywood where the hero gets the girl. Like, you think that you can have your cake and eat it too because you're trying to prove that Villanelle wasn't responsible for Nico because, like, in your heart of hearts, like, you know that Villanelle knows that that's a line that she could never cross with you. But, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, Eve. And I feel as though that there's so many different characters who have told her that throughout the course of this season. But Eve hasn't had that realization herself that this is a very dangerous path that I'm going down. And eventually you're going to have to choose Villanelle over your regular life, your friends, your family, your loved ones, so on and so on. And so we see that she asks her, what did she say to Villanelle in prison? So this is when she thought that Carolyn had kind of went rogue. And so essentially she was like, I asked Villanelle to work for me and she said no. So like what else did you think that I said to her? But we see that we see that Carolyn ends up finding out that Mo was killed by the woman that was in the room with Lynn. So we know that they figured out that Mo was looking into Paul. And so in order to tie up loose ends so no one can really uncover what was actually happening, she had Mo killed. And so when Carolyn gets this message that Mo has died, you know, this starts an argument between her and her daughter because she's just like, you cannot keep going on this way. You cannot just keep showing this lack of emotion. Like, what is going on with you? This is not normal. Like, get your life together. And then Carolyn starts smashing stuff back and forth. She's like, did that do it for you? Was that enough emotion for you? Was that good? And I was just like, I mean, that's what she was asking you to do in the first place. So I don't know. But yeah, she essentially calls her emotional iceberg. And I found it fascinating that when she tries to hug her mother, Carolyn's like, don't come at me like that. Like, don't touch me like that. And it goes into this thing where Kenny actually understood Carolyn, even though we thought that they kind of had like a dysfunctional relationship because there were still so many secrets between Kenny and Carolyn, even to the point where Kenny felt like he needed to reach out to Constantine to figure out, was he his father? They still had an understanding of who they were, what to do, what not to do. And so we see that her and her daughter, they just don't mesh well together. As she said that her daughter is her father's child, like, hey, like, I can keep pretending for you, but I'm just not going to be the person that you actually want me to be. And so we see this in the way that she deals with grief, the way that she's dealing with her mourning of Kenny. It just doesn't meet her daughter's standards. But we have to talk about Constantine. So Constantine has a very interesting story in this week's episode because we see that he's kind of frightened in the end of last week's episode when he sees that Irena has run over her stepfather. I was like, ma'am, like, he was making you sandwiches, knew when your cycle was to make sure that you had a little pick-me-up to cheer you up from your PMSing, and this is what you did to your father. So she's in the detention center after running over her stepfather, and we see that she's having this meeting with the doctor, psychiatrist, kind of see like where her mental space is. Should they keep her? Does she need to go to jail? Like, what is actually going on? And so the doctor tells her that she lacks empathy and she's very manipulative, and that he asked her if she could go back in time, what would she do? And she said she would go back in time to run this man over again. I said, girl, you can't be saying that if you try to get out. But it speaks to the daughter's privilege because she thinks that because of who her father is, what he does and how he gets himself, how he gets Villanelle out of these situations, that he is going to do the same thing for her. And so we see that Constantine tries to do this as he tries to bribe the doctor, but the doctor's like, boo-boo, like, she gonna be here for a minute, honey. Like, she's not okay. Did you, like, she literally just ran over her stepfather and said if she can go back in time, she would do it again. She ain't going nowhere. She's stuck here. So you try to offer me money and stuff, that's not doing nothing. So he tells her that, like, your daughter is disturbed and I really need you to understand this. And I don't know if it's because he's been around Villanelle so long that, like, this doesn't seem disturbing to him or whatnot. You can kind of see the shock and the look of horror in his face in last week's episode, but I just didn't feel as though he was taking this seriously. And we see this conversation between him and Irina as he's talking to her during visitation, and she thinks that it's a game. She thinks it's a joke. Like, she thinks that he's going to get her out. And he was like, hey, I'll come for you after a couple of days. And she was like, you lying. Like, I know that you're lying. And so she was like, you're just trying to scare me. Like, you're going to get me out. Woo, woo, woo. But then she realizes, like, no, like, he seriously cannot get you out. So I don't know what the heck is going to happen with Irina in detention center. I don't know if she's going to get her behind beat. I don't know what's going to happen. But, honey, your privilege is not going to get you out of this situation, unfortunately. But we see that Konstantin goes back home. Had a rough day. Whole thing with his daughter. He's supposed to be escaping, going to the beach. Now his daughter did this messed up stuff. It just throws a whole wrench into his plans. So he come home, and then Carolyn's daughter is sitting there. And I was like, Konstantin, sir, between Villanelle, Paul, and now Carolyn's daughter getting into your apartment, I feel as though that you don't have top-notch security like you should, especially for your line of work, sir. How are you doing all this messiness, working for all these different organizations, all these different government agencies, and you can't even keep people out of your house? So Konstantin had another heart attack for the upteen millionth time in this season so far, with people sneaking into his house. It's Carolyn's daughter. She comes to him. She's like, I cooked this nice dinner and all this. And he kind of brushes her off. And then she says, well, you know, my mom thought that you were using me anyway. And then he basically tells her, like, girl, yes, I was using you. I was trying to spy on your mama. What did you think I was trying to talk to you for? Just because of you? Like, he didn't say all of that, but that's pretty much what he said. So she felt disrespected. She was going to leave. And then he tries to, like, make it better, but it doesn't work. And then she says, I hope you die. He was like, I probably will. Like, worst words have been said to me. But as they're about to leave, no, I'm sorry. So that happens. Then he goes and gets Villanelle, and later in the episode. And then essentially, as they're going to basically try to track down this money, get this money, they go to the train station as they're trying to leave. And then he ends up having, like, a heart attack. My man just, like, froze up, fell out, and then Villanelle's like looking concerned, and she was like, what about the money? And then he hands her a piece of paper of like what he needs to do to go and find the money, but he says like, I don't want to die. And then she was like, I don't want you to die either. But then she run away after she gave him a piece of paper. I said, Villanelle, you couldn't call the paramedics, you couldn't do nothing. You could at least call 911 before you went and got on the train. But as soon as Villanelle runs off, gets on the train, Eve pops up at the same dang on time. And so essentially, they end up calling the ambulance or whatever, and then he ends up being alive. I thought Konstantin had actually died. I said, of all the ways for him to die, this fool just sit up here and had a heart attack. But no, he ends up in the hospital, and then the doctor's asking him these questions like, have you been under stress? And he starts laughing because, like, girl, you don't know half of the stress that I have been under at this point in time. He starts laughing, and then we hear this voice in the background laughing, and he pulls the curtain away, and who is it? It's Dasha's Rackety behind. Now I get on why it was surprising to actually see Dasha towards the end of the episode, because I actually did thought that Dasha died, but we'll get into that. So Eve is going through her whole little thing. So we actually get to see Eve this episode. And I know a complaint of mine have actually been like, for a show that's about killing Eve, there's not a lot of Eve in this season, or more, I guess more so these past couple of episodes, there hasn't been a lot of Eve. And so in this week's episode, she's digging through the trash, trying to find the cake box, the cake that Villanelle sent in, because she's trying to bring this connection that Villanelle's been working with Dasha, this whole like conspiracy theory that she's trying to come up with, which she's actually right, but she has to prove it. So she ends up finding the box of the cake so she can figure out who placed the order, where they were when they placed the order. But when she goes upstairs, we see that they've actually raided their office. So everything's kind of up and about. Paul sent a piece and said, I'm just finna have a drink. I ain't even got time to really put words to how I'm feeling about this. So I'm just going to drink my sorrows away. But she ends up running into the guy that Villanelle almost killed. And as she leads her journey to this golf course where she knows where Villanelle is. And so they traced the credit card that she used to purchase the cake for her. They traced it to where her and Dasha actually were on the golf course. So she ends up running into the guy in the middle of the street that Villanelle almost killed. And then he tells her like what happened. And so she kicks him out of the car. They leave him stranded still. Then she goes to find where they were to find Villanelle, but she ends up seeing Dasha. But then when she sees Dasha raggedy behind, Dasha is basically like, ooh, he had like a mustache. And then that basically leads her to believe that Dasha is actually the one who tried to kill Nico, which she knew that Villanelle wasn't the one behind that. And then she kind of steps on her chest. I was like, you better kill her, girl. Like, I don't condone violence, but the fact that she just came at you that way and she talking out the side of her neck like that, go ahead, step on her chest, okay? But we see before she can actually finish the job, the police, we hear the sirens in the background, and so she leaves. I thought Dasha was actually already dead, but I guess not. So that's why it's so surprising when we see Dasha laughing when Constantine is actually in the hospital. But we see at the end of the episode, we see that she gets a call from Villanelle, because when he told her where Villanelle was, as he was having a heart attack, she runs the train to try to find her. Villanelle sees her. Villanelle waves, she waves, and then she gets a phone call from Villanelle saying like, hey, we really have to stop running into each other like this. It's not good for the both of us. And so I was like, you guys, is there one more episode? Is there only 8 episodes in this season? Because I feel like I don't have enough. I feel like I need 2 more episodes before I'm ready to say goodbye to these characters for this season. But I like this turn of this beautiful monster because it has so many, I can see it in every character, from Carolyn and how she's dealing with the mourning of the death of her son and how she's kind of handling this investigation as she see more people turning up dead. She knows that she's getting closer to the truth, but how many more people can she actually sacrifice? To Villanelle, who she's trying to escape this life and she's trying to leave Eve behind, but she still feels herself pulling towards Eve. And even how Eve tries to, like, you know, your husband almost got killed and you're trying to like clear Villanelle's name and say that she didn't do it. I just find this absolutely crazy how she cannot let go of Villanelle. And so I really hope in next week's episode that we really get to see them reunite for like an extended period of time in order for them to have a conversation. But I will have to say, I really enjoyed this week's episode. I think there was a lot of things that were happening. I think that this whole exploration into Constantine, understanding that his daughter has issues, has serious issues, and whether or not he is the person, which I'm pretty sure he's the person to blame for all of this, I really will find it interesting to see, like, after him almost dying, like, how this is going to change the dynamic of their relationship between him and his daughter. Is he going to try to get his daughter out of the detention center, or is he going to be focusing more on finding this money, clearing his name, because they don't want the trail to come back to him that he's the one who ordered the kill for his friend's wife? But I'm interested to see how they're going to tie all of this up, even into the investigation of Eve, looking into like what happened to the death of Kenny. Are they going to figure out who was actually the one who was behind this? I still think that is actually Constantine. But I feel like there's like a lot of things to wrap up. And if there's one more episode, and I hope that I'm wrong because I feel like it's only 8 episodes, but it's a lot to try to wrap up. I feel like there's like a lot of loose ends that are happening. So I just don't necessarily know how this is going to play out. But let me know in the comment section below, like, what do you think? Who do you think is responsible for Kenny's death? Do you think there's going to be like one last like meeting between Villanelle and Eve? Like, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But those are my thoughts on Killing Eve season 3, episode 7, Beautiful Monster. As always, my name is Sharronna from Parawait. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.